to part 12 of my milling machine build. If you missed part 11, there's a link up there now, you can go watch it before this one. I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content on my channel. Now, I just had a week off from playing around with that table to do some casting and a few other things, and well, it kind of went okay in the end. But I'm going to have another crack at that table because I can't find a press. And on the subject of the press, there seemed to be some confusion about how a press might remove or fix the problem. So follow me over the mill and I'll clear a few things up. Alrighty, got some loud tyres talking up the road, 3 doors up, and it still sounds like they're outside my front gate. But I'll try and explain this without too much noise going on. These 2 flats here is what the table runs on, and they are pretty much flat. But I will give them a, I'm going to give them a sand. I have some granite cut-offs from when I did the kitchen, little narrow pieces about wide and about that long. So I'll sand them flat and make sure they're flat. Now the table in here, all these bolts in here, when I welded the ends of them up, it made the table bend slightly like that, and you can see it in here. There, it's not much, it's maybe 20 thou, something like that, and that's why I thought they could probably mount the table on in a press each end and then press it in the centre would be able to push that 20 thou out of it. But like I said, can't find one. So what I'm going to do is take this off and grind it a little here, just a bit and a bit and a bit and a bit, sand it, scrape it if I have to, whatever I need to do to get that little bow out of here, each side. And it's only needs to be the width of this thing and where it runs on here. I don't need to get it right across the table or anything, just 2 strips up the table, and as long as they're flat it should run nicely in there. Now the other thing I'm going to do was, I only had this little narrow piece here and here as a gib, which drops right down there. And this piece that I ordered nearly a week ago finally arrived yesterday. So now the frogs have started. God. So I'll cut that down to fit in there, and that will hopefully stop any movement that may have been like this in the gib. So I'll get on with that. Oh, and yesterday I cast this up for the 3rd time and finally got one. That'll be the micrometer ring for that new handle I made. And while I'm over here, I'll just turn this camera down and I'll show you how much easier it is to wind this now. Coming down, going back up. Before I would have to use 2 hands to wind that, so it's done exactly what I wanted it to do. Well, dismantled, it seems to be telling a different story. This thing rocks on there a fair bit, but it appears to be pretty straight. I don't see a lot of warp or anything in that, and the bulk of it appears to be just about here, just in that area there. So you can see a big gap up here. I don't know if you can see that shadow there or not, but it's mostly there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duck down the road and buy some nice shiny new flap discs. I'm just going to give this area here a bit of a hit, just a couple of licks with a flap disc, see what it looks like. When I get it looking something like what I want, I've got this, it's polished granite, it's that part of the bench top in the kitchens, and I'll use some sandpaper and that to sand it flat. Actually, you can see it there, it's wants to spin in that one spot about here. So down here it's fairly, it actually wants to spin a bit there too. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. Alrighty, so I've hit it with a new flap disc a few times. I've sanded it with that, and the second piece of this, and I've blued it with the second piece, and I'm slowly getting there. Hot work time. I don't know how well this bearing blue works with sweat dripping all over it though, but I'll keep at it. Needs a resharpen. Alrighty, so I've spent a couple of hours messing around with each side, all in total, and I've got a point where I'm reasonably happy with it, and it's a whole lot better than it was. And I've done something that I meant to do originally and never did, mainly because I didn't have any ground rods, but now I have a pair of them. They're different sizes, but that doesn't matter. You may have noticed this cut in this one. And the reason that cut's in there is that one was pretty straight. This one, I couldn't straighten it up enough, and it had a bit of a bow in it, but that way. So I put a cut in it so that I could hopefully straighten it up. So what I've done now is I've fitted this one up, bolted it up as tight as I can bolt it up, and then I started in the centre and I went down and I checked it all the way across here, bolting these up one at a time as I went to this end, this side of the cut, using this, just putting it in there like that, and giving it a twist with the spanner until it, you know, adjusted out, until I've got, it's all within a couple of hundredths, 1 or 2 hundredths, which I'm happy enough with. And then once I got up to this end, I started in the centre and I just worked my way up there, adjusting it out bit by bit by bit and tightening each one as I went until I got all that within a couple of hundredths. So this is where we're at. It's 126 and a couple of hundredths most of the way down here. There, oh, I dropped off the end of that one. So it's all within a couple of hundredths, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to go and put it back on and see how it fits, and if it looks good, I'm going to pull it off and repaint the underside of it here so it doesn't go all rusty on me. Well, there you go. As you can see, viewers, it's getting late afternoon and it's pretty much best to cook me out here, so I'll be calling it quits in a minute. So I've fitted up the new gear in there, and with only 2 screws in there, it winds really nice. There's no play in there, I can feel. Winds all the way over quite nicely, all the way back, without having to play around with the gibs like I did before. Well, it's getting a little tight just there all of a sudden, but we'll have a look at that. So that's that for today, because it's getting too hot. Tomorrow I'll pull it off and paint the bottom, and I'm going to have a play with that big round fly cutter I made and turn it into a grinder, so hang around for that. Alrighty, new day, new harebrained scheme. You may have thought to yourself, how the hell's he going to turn that fly cutter into a grinder? Well, like this. The idea is take everything off there that's on there now except for that, and I want to, I bought, along with that little brass flat piece, I bought this piece of 1 inch round, and I'm going to mill up, or machine up, some inserts to sit in here, and I'm going to bolt 3 of them to the bottom of this, so the whole thing will spin. These won't spin, but the whole disc will spin. And because they start out fairly flat initially, hopefully they'll sit reasonably well on here, and I'll just run it backwards and forwards until I sand it flat. So that's the idea. Alrighty, so I got the spring-loaded divider out and worked out 3 even spacings, and I've used one of those 3 holes that I drilled in there when I was playing around the balancing. So they will just all bolt on here like this. I had a thought here when I was going down to buy these button head bolts before, about these flap discs and a possible problem. Set it up so the thing's turning in this direction, so that's right, but at some stage These that are pointing the wrong direction are going to be rubbing on the top of the table. So I'm not 100% sure just how that'll handle that. But anyway, we'll find out. There's only one way to find out, and that's to try. Alright, so that's ready to put in and see how we go. That reminds me of an old floor polisher my mother had when I was a child. But anyway, I'll head back over to the mill and see how it goes. Well, it's time for another one of those things I seem to be having quite a few of lately, i.e. a moment of truth. Had that a quick spin up on that to see how out of balance it is. It's actually not too bad. And even flat out it doesn't vibrate much, so let's give it a go. Well, it's going to take quite a while. I did contemplate running the fly cutter over it again just to knock these big bits off, but hey, we can grind them off. It's leaving a fabulous finish on there. So I'll keep going this. It'll take a while. I'll bring you back later when I get closer to getting finished. Alrighty, this would take forever. It's bloody hot. These seem to have maintained the sort of sharp feeling of a new disc. But they've slowed right down in the amount of material it's taken off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip down the road and buy 3 grinding discs. Bolt 3 grinding discs to there and just see how they go, because they won't flex as much. Bogs down up this end, which means this end's obviously higher than the rest of it. Goes like that. But I'm slowly getting it off. Each run I make up here, I've been 2 or 3 runs across here before I head back again. But there's some deep scars in here which will take forever to get off with these, so I'll go and get those grinding wheels and try them. Alrighty, could do with some longer screws for these. You can see these are holding up pretty well. There's not much wrong with that. But, like I said, it seemed to lose its ability to cut pretty smartly. And these damn grinding wheels are a bit thicker in the centre than these things too. I only got a 15mm bolt when I bought these, and these ones don't stick out much at all. A bit of a worry. Now I've got to say, this idea, not really my idea. Well, it kind of is and it isn't. Way back when I still had a mechanical workshop, the engine reconditioning guy that I used had a radial type grinder that he used for grinding cast iron cylinder heads with, and it had a great big head about that round on it with all these individual stones in it. So when I first thought of this idea, I went looking for something with, that I could buy individual stones. And the only ones that I could find were diamond things for grinding floors, concrete floors, and they were quite expensive, well over $1,000 each, and I thought, I'm paying that for them. So then I came up with the flap disc idea. I'm not all that keen on running these, and I don't know that I'll run them quite as fast as I was running this other thing. But anyway, we'll see. I'm not worried about a piece breaking off, flying out, smashing into me. Alrighty, let's drop this down a bit. This new handle's fantastic compared to that little one I had on there. Awesome. Stuff out of the way. Get some sort of a guard. It's only a bit of plastic, but it's better than nothing. Where is it? Let's spin this up and see what it looks like. grinding too bad. Lower it down, see what happens. I reckon it'll be a bit noisy than those flat discs. Well, can't use these bloody things, look. Bit of the bolts stick up out of the centre there. Which means I'd have to make some new inserts for here. Bloody thing was hitting there. Bugger. I don't know why it was making so much noise and not really grinding anything. Oh well. Might leave that till tomorrow now. It's getting late in the day and the sun's starting to come over onto this. And I've got a meeting to be at. I'll leave this for another day. This stuff in the centre here could be an issue too when it comes to grinding. Anyway, I'll see you go. Give it a whirl again tomorrow. Alrighty, so I've got in early this morning and I've machined up 3 new bits for in here, threaded instead of just having a hole in them. And it's only 8:30, so it's a bit early to have a crack at this. So once we get past maybe 9 or so, I'll throw this back in and have another go at it. And if that doesn't do the job, I'm going to put everything back onto this and make it back into fly cutter and give it a lick with a fly cutter. And then maybe go back to the flat disc to finish it off. Alrighty, so I've fitted it up and I've given it a few licks. It's actually not working too bad. It's not overly noisy, which is a good thing. So but I'm not convinced that it's going to do it quickly. I'm still toying with the idea of putting it back into a fly cutter and running that over it once or twice and then trying to grind it to finish it. But I'll show you how this goes. Should have changed the battery before I started. It's about to go flat. But anyway, you're getting the picture. I've got a bit of aluminium on the back of this plastic now. If something comes through, at least it's got a bit more there to stop it embedding in my gut. Well viewers, quick update. I've made a lot of passes over this, including turning this back into a fly cutter. I ran that over it, but unfortunately that put a few gouges and things in it here and there, including that one, which was an accident. But I'm not having a lot of luck with these things, so that fiberglass bit in the centre did become a problem, and these things stop grinding after a while and they just start rubbing and they're polishing it, and that's as smooth as a baby's bum, that, but still got some of these little gouge marks in it from the fly cutter. So tomorrow morning I'm going to head out to one of the bigger hardware stores who have a huge range of brands and types of grinding wheels, and I'm going to have a look, see what they've got, see if they've got something that might not go dull as quick as these things do, because I'm nearly there. I've checked this with a rule, it's nice and flat now, so it's just a matter of getting the last of these gouge marks and things out of it, and I'll be happy. Well viewers, I think it was probably well worth the drive this morning out to the big hardware store. I found these, I haven't seen these before. These are Pumpkin brand, which is a Thai brand, but there was a few of them there, different brands. But they have this little square pattern on here. Anything, and that should, you know, last a bit longer, I hope. The only thing that bothers me is that it says on here someone always use, it might have been one of the others, always use the backing pad, and I could see no backing pads out there anywhere. So what I did was I double up, I bought 6 of them, they weren't very expensive, and I'll run them 2 together so that they're a little stiffer, because they do call them a flexible wheel, so I don't really want it flexing. So I'll run 2 together and I'll fit them up like these other ones. We'll see how that goes. Alrighty, I've been up with this 2 or 3 times, up and back each time. Getting these weird swirl marks in here, I'm not sure where that's coming from. There was a heap of quite deep gouge marks in here. They went pretty smartly on the 3rd pass they were gone. Still got some more over here, but I've done 3 passes here and then the centre and then over here. Still got some heavy gouge marks here and here and some up the other end, but other than that they're pretty much all gone except for these couple in the centre. So I've just flipped them over, changed the other ones. They still look alright, but they were definitely cutting better when I first put them on there. So I've changed them over, I'll give them another couple of passes But I'll leave it running this time so you can leave the camera running, you can see. Tell you what, that's getting very close to me going close enough, she'll be right. So I'll make a couple more passes, I think, moving it back across the table, and we'll see how we go. Well viewers, if you've been enjoying this video up to this point and possibly even learnt something, then how about smashing that like button and giving it a great big thumbs up. Well, I'm pretty happy with this at this point. In case you haven't noticed, I'm much more into function over form, not so much into making things look pretty. I still have some gouge marks in here and here, back up over in this corner, a couple up in there, a couple little ones there, but at least they're not bumps and they're not going to affect anything. So at this point I think I'm going to call that quits on the table grinding. I think I'm pretty happy with that, and I'll call it quits on this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.